This is a brief disclaimer that the main camera segment of this video is not present due to technical difficulties, meaning this episode is just the painting and the talking. Those are the two key components of the show, so I hope it's not too difficult to watch, but please know I'm working to resolve these technical difficulties, and hopefully within the next couple episodes we'll be back up and running as usual. In the meantime, I hope it's not too bad. Enjoy the episode.
So as we speed forward into this future that we so often talk about here on this channel, I feel like we're seeing this trend sort of develop. A trend I'm going to refer to as syndicating your soul. One, it has alliteration, which is always a solid thing to have whenever you're going to refer to anything. And two, I think it's a relatively accurate way to refer to the general parasitic nature that the internet and a lot of these new technologies can have, right? There's kind of two lenses to this. The one is in the most literal sense of commercialization, right? It's going to be a weird conversation to broach because it's actually not too dissimilar from what I'm doing here. And the other is from the lens of privacy, from the lens of data, right? I think that's the easier one to start with because we're all so aware of it, and it is the scariest thing ever to me. Like, the fact that, like, I just don't know, you know, it'd be one thing if all these technologies developed and we never had an issue with anybody reading all of our text messages or anybody tracking us across all these websites and having massive data profiles on us, which, like, we know they have. It'd be one thing if that never happened, but because of the fact that we've had multiple instances of governments or companies unjustifiably tracking people, it's like, it makes you feel insane because you can't trust anybody, right? Like, I have my Siri turned off on my phone because I'm so scared of it listening to me. And how do I know it's like, nah, I'm still just recording anything I say? You know what I mean? Like what's stopping that from happening? I know for a fact that at one point it was because there were multiple times when I've had, like, you know, when like there's a lawsuit going on and they message you like, hey, you could get $10 from this lawsuit. I got that for Apple because it came out that it was actually listening to people when it wasn't supposed to be, right? And because of this, it's this weird balance where it's like, how do you not feel insane all the time when you can't trust these companies? You can't trust, you know, who's going to tap your data, who's not. So your obvious motivation is to be like, I'm just going to steer away from anything that is. And then you just, like, you feel crazy. You do. Like, I feel crazy sometimes when I'm turning off things on different devices, or like I'll see sometimes it'll come up with like somebody like screen mirroring in a program, and I'm like, I didn't turn that on. Like, I'll psych myself out for 20 minutes, right? And this is all like a weird, you know, on the one hand, there's the argument you're making a bigger deal than it needs to be. You know, who cares? Who am I that's so interesting that I'm worried about a company watching me and being like, we have what his screen looks like? And like, I guess that's true, but from that perspective, would you care if somebody was like at your window all the time too? Like, you're right. I'm not like somebody that I need to be, you know, I'm not planning any espionage spy activities anytime soon. So you're right. Like, I'm not somebody that needs to really be worrying about it. But at the same time, like, privacy is a thing. You know, in, you know, just the broadest sense. Privacy is a thing, and it's a thing that we should care about. And that's the question I would pose to you if you ask. Like, whenever it's like, I don't care that they're watching me on the internet, I just like take that into the most literal sense. If you don't care that somebody's watching you on the internet, would you care if somebody was literally standing over your shoulder watching you right now? Like, if your browser could be tracking right now, and you're like, I don't care, and you have an apathy towards it, that's my question to you. Would you care if they sent somebody into your house to watch you all the time, right? At first, it's like, no, that's, you know, such a different thing, but like, that's exactly what, I'm sounding insane here, but that's kind of what they want you to think, right? Whenever you add a new layer to the, like, well, it's not that bad, with any sort of breach of data, privacy, anything like that, you're just moving the goalposts an inch closer to someday it will be. Like, yeah, there's a camera in every room that they, you know, I need to be monitored through, or that they're like making sure that I'm purchasing all these products through, but, you know, it's not that weird. Like, every time we move the goalpost, it just gets a little bit scarier. But the scariest thing now is, like, I don't have the power to move my own goalpost. I have Siri off. I have any way I can have a browser be private. I have those settings on, but like, past that, I have no way of knowing. I don't know how code works. I don't know how computers work. You know, I'm not like firing up a dark web browser with an IP scrambler to make sure I'm never being watched. Like, I'm not, frankly, just not tech savvy enough to know 100% what's going on. So it's almost like it's like I have I want to be hyper aware of this because I think that it's a slippery slope to allow anybody in and allow any sort of justification for any sort of watching. But at the same time, I don't even know if I have the ability to be choosy, to be like picky over it. You know, it's my own privacy. I'm gonna be picky over it, but I don't really have the knowledge to be picky over it. Like, it's almost like, it feels sometimes almost akin to like a dog being like, I want to start monitoring when my owners are gonna be watching me and when they're not. And it's like, I have like, it's such a different universe to me that I really don't know. I guess the answer is probably to educate myself on it, but I don't know. There's also just a side of me that's like, obviously that's something I should do. I should take steps to do that because I am genuinely worried about this. There's also a side of it that's like, why are we in this situation where we all got to be like, know what we're being watched all the time or whatever. And I think this is part of the trend of us syndicating our souls, where, you know, chip by chip, they're taking a little bit of us to sell back to ourselves, right? I've had friends in real life who, I'll say this because I've said this to their faces when they told me this, who idiotically, or I think in the dumbest train of thought imaginable, are like, I like that they take my data because they can sell me things better and they can find me better products that I would like. No, like, that's not a good way of doing that. That's horrifying. That's just not the right train of thought to have. That's not how we should be justifying anything. Because once again, take it to its logical conclusion. Would you want a random man following you everywhere going, you know, I noticed that you really are into this color of red and I found these sneakers you would really like. Would you be cool with that? The answer is no. The answer for all of us should be no. So it's weird. Like, it's scary these things are happening, and there's no protection coming in anytime soon from what I understand. I don't think they're gonna like make laws around us actually being people with privacy on the internet. So like, and even if they did, like, I don't think it would stop anything. I think it's too decentralized to stop it. And that's what's so horrifying about it to me. That's what's horrifying about that. But the other part of this is like, not only are they taking our data to sell us things, but the other side's like sort of with content creation, with social media, which is awesome. I think all this stuff's really cool. Obviously I do it every day. So there's a part of this conversation that's inherently going to be a little hypocritical, but like, so much of the dream now is I'm hoping to get enough eyeballs on me and people that trust me so I can sell them things. I'm going to display massive amounts of my personality to hope that I can achieve that goal, just so brands can message me, can email me, and use me as a billboard. And something about this feels weird. Like, something about this whole process feels weird. And there's an argument, too, that like, celebrities have always been billboards. You know what I mean? The reason that influencers are overtaking celebrities right now in many different avenues is not because it's some grand cultural shift. It's because, like, there's so much more money in advertising with Mr. Beast than there is with, like, I don't know, name a fairly big celebrity. You know what I mean? Like, Ryan Gosling is going to bring in less money than Mr. Beast because so many people are watching Mr. Beast and they have a very different relationship seeing somebody in videos versus on a film, and there's so much more money in this thing, right? The ROI on that ad spend is insane, and that's why this is shifting, right? It's like, there's always been an element of celebrity or of any sort of entertainment that's like very much based on advertising, but something feels weird because the whole idea of being an influencer, which is a term I already hate, is so predicated on personality. Like, I watch the people that I watch on the internet, not because like it's some transactional thing of like, this guy is, some of them it's like they make good stuff, I like the stuff they make, but for most of them it's like I like their personality, I think they're funny, I think they're cool. Maybe sometimes they have valuable info, but usually it's just like, this is a fun thing to put on in the background, right? I actually sometimes think like, the way that we all do that, I wonder if that's why like the news is so popular. Like, have you guys ever noticed that like our parents' generation, will like have the news on in the background 24/7? Are people like parasocial with Anderson Cooper? Like, is that why that happens? Because it's just like they have a little bit of like personality that they get parasocial with. But either way, that's probably not relevant to this conversation. So much of it ends up being like you are going to put yourself out there enough that you can eventually create a brand off your personality and sell products with it. And like, of course, a parasocial relationship is extremely different than being friends with somebody in person. Like, off the bat, that's true. But also, like, imagine if companies started like coming to you and being like, hey, you got a friend group that has 10 people in it. You got that group chat you're in. You have 15 people in that group chat. What would they think of this product? And then you got to sell it to them, right? Like, obviously it's different because those are your friends that you talk to in real life and go hang out with versus people on the internet. There's more of an expectation that somebody on the internet is going to sell you something. If I cut to an ad break right now of me being like, you guys need NordVPN, that would have some sort of normalcy to it. Like, I don't think there'd be an irony to it, but I don't think anybody would be like, this is evil. Like, people would think this is normal, but like, there's something that feels weird about that, right? The fact that it's like, you come here for a certain reason because you're in some regard attached to this person and you trust them as an individual, and then they take the advantage of that to be like, I'm gonna get $2,000 to sell you something. Like, the whole system just feels very weird. And I think like this is another example of like, we're coming to this place where it's like every piece of you as a person, not even just like, in the past, it's always been like, what are we going to sell people? Okay, demographic of people that are, four-person family, they want a car, the mom's going to go to the store and get the leg of lamb for tonight. I don't know. What were people doing in the 50s? That advertising's always functioned like that to an extent if there's been markets, but now it feels like the way that all this is working is genuinely occurring from an angle of like, we are going to take the most personal element of people and sell it back to them. And that's where everything's starting to feel weird. That's where like this trend is really bothering me. And the unfortunate part about all this, I actually don't know what like what my point is with even thinking about this. I came here and I'm talking about this because it's something that bothers me. It's something that I'm guessing that a lot of you might care about too, based on the type of things we discuss on this show. But it's like, what do you do about it? You can't stop using the internet. You can a step I want to take after doing this is definitely educating myself a little bit more as far as like how these things work. But like, outside of that, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, obviously me as a individual, I will say here, I would probably steer away from doing like 99%, which not that anybody's coming to me to sponsorship opportunities in the first place, but like if they were to, I'd probably steer away from most of them unless it was genuinely something where I'm like, this is sick. Like if a company wanted to be like, we'll give you canvases and just be like, because canvases can be expensive, that kind of thing, yeah, cool, no, totally. Like that's something that makes sense. And especially things where it was like long-term things, you know what I mean? Like that's one thing. To be like, some podcasts will be like, we drink Celsius when we do this podcast. That's like still a little bit like feels a little weird, but like it's very different than being like, hey, cutting in the middle of this to talk about Manscaped. You are here to watch me paint and talk. Why would you ever care about a body hair trimmer right now? It all feels weird, right? So if there's something that was like an exact fit or like wasn't actually ad reads, I think I'd be more open to that. Overall, in the future, as far as monetizing the show, I'm way more interested in doing a personal subscription-based model. Like one day, not anytime soon, I'm really not thinking about this right now, but like in the next year or so probably, like a Patreon is probably something I would do over this with like a little bit of extra content, just because one, I would never want a company that would have to ever be able to come and be like, hey, you can't say this thing, you can't talk about this subject anymore, and I have to do it because now I'm somehow financially tied to that. That scares me. That's where you get into the whole syndicating your soul side of things. That's really a scary thing to me. So I would probably want to do a subscription model in the future if I ever were to really try and monetize this show. If I ever felt like it was in the zone where I should do that, which is a goal one day. If I if you guys keep watching, if this keeps going as well as it has been, I would definitely like to do that one day. But like outside of on a personal level, of like just being like, okay, I'm gonna try and be conscious of sponsorships, or like I'm gonna try and be conscious of the browsers I'm using. How do you avoid this new trend? Because it feels inevitable. It feels almost like I'm trying to be like, we need to tear these billboards off the road, except the billboards have cameras and are watching me. I don't know. It's all very nerve-wracking to think about, but I think the new trend, the way things are moving, we're all syndicating our souls, and that's my take. This is the painting. Don't like this as much, but I don't know. This color palette's still strong, I think. Of course, when you get to the last 3 of any color palette, it starts to get a little bit boring, I think, but still strong, still enjoying these. So go follow me on Instagram and be on the lookout for when these all go up, when all the color palette paintings are done, which I think we only have a couple more. So definitely be on the lookout over there for that. Until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Tice. This has been Paint Talk episode 225, are we on? Yeah, 225. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.